Hi, I'm Cindy. Today I'm going to discuss about the definition of domestic violence. Domestic violence is defined as any form of abusive behavior in any relationship that is used by the perpetrator to gain and maintain power and control over another spouse, partner, or intimate family member. Types of domestic violence can be classified into physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and economic abuse. Physical abuse is any physically aggressive behavior that causes harm to the body which results in pain and injury. The examples of physical abuse are hitting, kicking, slapping, pushing, pulling hair, or punching. Furthermore, sexual abuse is using sex in an exploitative fashion or forcing sex on another person. Besides that, emotional abuse, also known as psychological abuse, is a form of abuse characterized by a person subjecting or exposing another person to behavior that may result in psychological disorder, such as anxiety and depression. Moreover, economic abuse, also known as financial abuse, is a way to control the victim through manipulation of economic resources. This may include controlling the family income and not allowing the victim access to money. Domestic Violence Act 1994, which is also referred as DVA 1994, is enacted by Malaysia Parliament. The aim of this act is to manage and prevent domestic violence cases and help the victims in the domestic abuse cases in Malaysia. In 9th of February 2014, DVA 1994 was amended and officially published, and in 21st of September 2017, there is a further amendments for publicity release, which come into enforcement on 1st of January 2018. However, these amendments to this Act appear to indicate a less meaningful changes in this law. Some witnesses of Domestic Violence Act in Malaysia. Although the DVA 1994 has included the emotional abuse and economic abuse, but its definition has not been clearly outlined. The definition issue should not be taken lightly, because the mental abuse also could cause a serious problem. The Act should not only cover the emotional abuse and economic abuse, but it should be clearly identified with clarification based on the society cultural environment. Besides that, another witness is if there is no visible physical abuse, it is difficult for the victim to make the police report. If the victim has mental abuse such as depression, the victims have to get the relevant specialized doctor certifications in order to make the police report. An accurate and detailed domestic violence definition can avoid many violent cases happen. Hence, the description of the violence definition should also consider the cultural and social standards, as this will provide a broader understanding of the social cultural dynamics in Malaysia.
Thank you, Cindy. I'm Sawana Asman, and I will start my point with domestic violence cases in Malaysia. Domestic violence is not something that had never happened before, especially in our country. It had happened for quite some time, and it is no surprise that the number of cases in Malaysia is quite high in general. It is found that some of the possible causes of this cruel act are due to misunderstandings, which have the number of 2,407 cases, financial problems with 489 cases, and children's problems with 262 cases. The possible causes and the number of cases are according to police statistics in 2014. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic that is happening all around the world, Malaysian government had implemented movement control order which requires the citizen to practice social distancing and to stay put at home. Since the order has been implemented on the 18th March, the number of calls for talian kasih has increased up to 57% for women up until 26th of March. The increased numbers of calls are due to financial constraints, menstrual problems, as well as domestic violence. Not only that, domestic violence cases also spiked due to economic, social, and psychological pressure on families and communities. This causes the number of calls to Women's Center for Change, or WCC, to increase by 50 calls on the second week of MCO. 14 out of 50 calls received are related to domestic violence. Due to this pandemic and the implementation of MCO, victims who originally stayed separately from their abusers are required to stay at home for an indefinite time, which exposed them to any kind of violence, whether sexually, emotionally, or physically.
Next, I will talk about statistic domestic violence cases in Malaysia. Based on the statistic given by the Royal Malaysia Police (PDRM), the number of domestic violence cases fluctuates from the year of 2000 to 2018. The The highest cases of ever reported was from 2016 with 5,796 cases. Meanwhile, the lowest cases ever reported was in the year of 2003 with 2,555 cases. For age breakdown of domestic violence survivors in the year of 2013 until 2017, the highest number of survivors in the age range of 26 to 35 years old with 1,956 survivors in the year of 2016. Meanwhile, the lowest number of survivors are in the age range above 60 years old in the year of 2013 with 280 survivors. Meanwhile, for the age breakdown of domestic violence perpetrators in 2013 to 2017, the highest number of abusers of domestic violence is in the age range of 26 to 35 years old, with 2,546 perpetrators in the year of 2016. Meanwhile, the lowest number of abusers is in the age range of above 60 years old in the year of 2013, with 71 perpetrators. For the number of domestic violence cases by state in Malaysia in the year of 2017, it is found that the highest number of cases were ever reported was in Selangor with 775 cases, equivalent to 14.1%, followed by Johor with 681 cases, 12.4%, and Kelantan with 662 cases, 12%. States with the lower number of cases ever reported was Malacca with 75 cases, equivalent to 1.4%, followed by Perlis with 112 cases, 2%, and Pulau Pinang with 180 cases, 3.3%. The percentage of victims based on gender from reported cases from January 2014 until January 2016, female victims are 74.2%, which is 7,631. Meanwhile, male victims are 25.8%, which is 2,651, as reported by Women's Aid Organization. Based on the statistics shown, it indicates that the increasing number of cases reported shows that our society knows and understands their rights to seek help, especially since that is the law that protects these victims of violence. Now I shall pass it to my fellow friend. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rayhana. So, according to my friends Salwana and Cindy, I'm pretty sure by now everyone have a rough idea about what domestic violence is all about. However, nowadays there have been way too many myths and stigma circulating our society, especially among Malaysians. Myth number 1. Women are the only victims of domestic violence. This is totally wrong. Men can also be victims of domestic violence. It's just that the number of cases being reported is lesser than women because they are more subjected to emotional violence compared to physical. As we already know, men and women have different body strength. So in this case, if an abusive female partner wants to hurt their male partner, they could kick them, hit them, bite them, or even destroy their possessions. Sometimes they attack them while they are asleep. They do this so that they can catch their male partner by surprise. They can also go for drastic measures like using a gun or a knife or maybe throw sharp objects to their partners. Moving on to myth number 2. Domestic abuse is the crime of the poor and the uneducated. This is totally wrong. I don't even know where this myth comes from because the truth is domestic violence, they don't care about your age, your ethnicity, your religion, your income, or even your educational background. It doesn't care if you are a millionaire, you're a billionaire, or if you're poor, or if you're a farmer, it doesn't care. Because men and women from all kinds of social background beat and abuse their partners. However, it seems to pull or entwine more within the poor because they do not have the proper access to resources to hide the evidence if they are an abuser, or if they are a victim, they don't know who to go for help. As compared to the middle and upper class communities, they have access, they have money to hide the evidence. So in the end, the poor have no choice but to turn to the police, NGOs, and hospitals for help. This is the most ridiculous myth and the type of myth that we always hear from people who don't believe that domestic violence is a serious issue. They said that victims provoke their partner's violence. The thing is, in a relationship, whatever happens, whatever conflict that arises, violence is never the answer and it is never acceptable and justifiable. Women are more likely to stay in a destructive relationship because they are softer and they are more forgiving. The reason why most people stay in a relationship, in this case women, they stay because they feel guilty They feel guilty of robbing the paternal and maternal influence that their children should have while growing up, or they might be financially dependent on their partners. We know that most women in Malaysia, they don't have the opportunity to pursue education or to get a job. They rely solely on their partners to survive. Sometimes these women, they will try hard to please their partners. They will try to change their behavior to fit the standards of their partners. As a result, they will start to believe that, maybe they are the reason for the abuse. Myth number 4. It is easy to leave an abusive relationship. This statement was probably made by someone who have never been in an abusive relationship, have never faced domestic violence, or don't even know what domestic violence is all about. What people need to understand is that these victims were probably afraid. They were afraid that there are no safe options for them, and they can't survive economically. As I said before, some people are financially dependent on their partners. They need their partners for emotional support, for financial support, or for their children if they have children. And every so often, when the victim tries to leave the relationship, somehow the abuser managed to put a stop on their plans. It is even more dangerous if the abuser finds out that the victim has a plan to leave. They will start inflicting threats, dangerous threats, where it may include the victim's death, or the victim's children, or the victim's family, hence threatening several battered men and women from escaping an abusive environment. Next, I will let my friend Regini to explain more about the effects of domestic violence.
Hello, I'm Ragini, and I'm going to explain about effects on domestic violence. Domestic violence survivors can face ongoing and challenging effects after enduring physical, mental, and emotional abuse. It can take for a survivor to adjust to living in a safe environment, especially if a prisoner was severely violent or committed the action over an extended period of time. While addressing this pain can be overwhelming, the healing process can help survivors develop inner strengths and lessen their fear of safety for themselves and their families. On the journey to recovery, survivors and those who support them should understand that healing takes time. The effects of this trauma can vary widely person to person due to individuals' responses to stress, age, and the frequency and the severity of abuse. Effects of domestic and family violence tears lives apart. 1 in 3 women experience physical or sexual violence or both caused by someone known to them. It affects women, children, and the family and the community, and it has big personal, social, and economic effects. When we take a look on effects on the victim, there are death, illness, injury, and disability. Domestic and family violence is the leading cause of death, illness, and disability for women aged under 45. Emotional and psychological trauma, the devastating impact on individuals' physical, mental, and emotional health, including depression, anger, and even suicide. The use of alcohol and other drugs to deal with the pain, also physical health injuries and problems which may not get medically treated. Effects on the family, such as violence, where violence and the threat of violence at home creates fear and can destroy family environments and lead to the breakup of families. Some more effects on the community, children growing up without learning about positive and respectful relationship, abusers going to prison, higher rates of alcohol and other drug use and mental problems. Effects on children, this is the most important part. Of those women who experience violence, more than 50% have children in their case care. Children and young people don't have to see violence and be affected by it. Studies show that living the domestic violence can cause physical, emotional harm to children and young people in the following ways, such as ongoing anxiety and depression, emotional distress, eating and sleeping disturbance, low self-esteem, and so on. And now I would like to pass to my friend Chandru to talk his part.
Thank you to our friend. So now I'm going to present about the suggestion to prevent domestic violence. Okay, first of all, actually domestic violence is actually preventable by a community act on it. So it's become a responsibility of our responsibility, because we have to take care of others, even not your members, family members, but you should take care of others. So if you notice a long wail in the night, unexplained bruises, cry of children's, there is a child neglect or abuse happening there, so in your neighborhood, maybe you should take care of them. So you just report the incident to the police officer or welfare authorities, so they can take care of them. So, and then you have to be a busybody, even though it's not your thing, but you have to go and talk with others and then ask them if they have problem or anything. So maybe they can discuss and then talk to you, become friend or something. So, and then they might tell you their problems. So it can be a community things. Okay, and then secondly, there is like parents. So parents should be know that they are like having a stress problem or something, maybe the work stress or something. They have to control the work stress or any stress, so that it can prevent themselves from abusing their children or maybe their wife, husband, anyone. Maybe they are family members. So it should be like their parents should be taking care of them. I think they have to find a new way to handle their stress, so that they're not like release the tension or stress on others. Again, then actually our government having a domestic violence act actually covering only married couples and divorced case. So I think they should also taking care of non-married couples like boyfriend, girlfriends, fiance, like that. Help for domestic violence. This one is also important for anyone who have problem with domestic violence or others having domestic violence. Maybe you can help them, inform them. There's like few options you can do to get help. So first option, contact WAO, or if you are a woman or a girl or something, so woman, so you can contact them, Women's Aid Organization, which is like they're helping the women. Okay, here I attach their phone numbers, and then you can contact them anytime, 24 hours. Even I have attached a WhatsApp number here, 24 hours. And then option 2 is actually go to One Stop Crisis Center at government hospitals. Okay, this one is like normal thing. So you have any problem with domestic violence, you straight away go to One Stop Crisis Center at any government hospitals. They provide the the facilities there. And then option 3, obtain an emergency protection order from a social welfare department, JKM. So I think it's important. So you have any problem with domestic violence, maybe you just straight away go to social welfare department and then obtain an emergency protection order. So this EPO, I think EPO, so this can help you to protect from others. And then option 4, make a police report and apply for an interim protection order at police station. So when you making a report, you can straight away apply for interim protection order. This protection can help you from any abusers. Okay, as a conclusion, the solution is to reform an abusive relationship is readiness of abuser to take responsibility for their action by admitting that their acts are unacceptable, wish to change and seek guidance. Actually, abusing others is not good, so it is actually unaccepted by any community. So actually the abuser should know what they are doing actually, and then if the abuser refuse to change, then best shot for these victims to live happily is to leave the relationship. So I mean, like you having a relationship with like abuser, anyone, it could be boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, anyone. So if you are like abusing you every time, maybe you can just leave them alone and then having a own life. And then preventing domestic violence is not something that depend on others, but the change must come from you. Actually, you cannot depends on others every time. You should know time to say no to the abusers. So actually you have to report. Don't like just scared or something. So you just report your problems to others, talk about you, any abusing act, talk about it, and then maybe you can just report to the authority.